Good evening all, welcome to another TRSB Sports podcast for myself, Jamie B. Pleased to have on the show this evening undefeated professional boxer by the name of Dean Richardson. Before we start the interview, anyone who's new to the channel, just remember to hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, turn your phone off, that will help as well. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate. You?
Not too bad, not too bad. Obviously, this is the first time we've had you on the show, so I thought our viewers might not have seen you or know much about you. So I was thinking if maybe you could just give us a little bit of an insight into yourself, maybe like when you started boxing, was it amateurs, and what the journey is so far, really?
Right, so firstly, my name's Dean Richardson. I started boxing at Ruislip Boxing Club, and then moved on to Dale Youth, and then West Ham, and then returned back to Dale Youth. I didn't have many amateurs. I had 16 or 17 fights. Got a bit unlucky. Couldn't really sort of get that many fights for whatever reason. So like, I had quite a long period of only having 1 or 2 fights, and got very frustrated. And then I was already training with some pros, with Barry O'Connell in Hammersmith, with the likes of John O'Donnell.
Right.
Really enjoying it, loving it. And it was at a point in the amateurs where it was kind of splitting into the Alliance and is it England Boxing? And yeah, the amateurs just didn't really look that certain what was happening. I was enjoying training with the pros, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna turn pro really, because I was just enjoying it, and I thought I'd be able to get more out of it than the amateurs, even though I only had a little bit of experience. I just felt like I was more suited to the pros. Like, I know everyone says it, do feel like my style was more suited. And yeah, 12 fights down the line, picked up a Southern Area title, and looking to hunt down the English.
Right, so obviously with the amateurs, switching from the amateurs to the pro, was there any sort of like big change? Did you notice any big change in actually switching from the amateurs to the pro, or was it quite an easy transition for you?
I'll say it was an easy transition, but you have to. It's just completely different. You need to learn the game more. Obviously, like I said, it was more suited to my style of fighting, but then learning how to fight like a pro is what you've got to learn. Still learning now, still evolving. So yeah, it was a good transition. I'll put it that way.
I think I heard somewhere. Was there at some point you were doing a bit of sparring with Josh Kelly? Is that right?
Yeah, I've done sparring with Josh Kelly. How many times I sparred with him? Yeah, I sparred with him a few. I last sparred with him before he went out to New York for that fight with Ray Robinson on the AJ Ruiz bill.
Right, and how does that, how does that sort that out for you? Sort of like going and sparring with some of that kind of experience. How does that rub off on you? What do you get out of that? Just
learn. Like they'll do a certain move or whatever. They'll catch you with a certain shot followed by a certain movement, or they'll set up a shot in a certain way. And normally you learn because you're on the receiving end of it, and then you can bring it into your game. So sparring the likes of him, you just learning all the time. And obviously you're trying to give a good account of yourself as well. So you're thinking about what you're doing. Very switched on, because obviously you know you're sparring someone of a high caliber, so your senses are sharpened, and yeah, it's good. You need to be sparring people like that before you fight at that level to fully prepare yourself.
And with the sparring, like obviously we have a lot of people on, a lot of boxers on there, we talk about sparring, but we don't really sort of ask them in relation to the sparring. So when you're in there sparring and you've got someone like Josh Kelly, is it more about, are they both you going to say, right, I'm going at 70%, I'm not going to chin you? Is there a sort of like, how does it work?
You're sparring a lower level opponent or someone who's not as high caliber, they will try and get in there and win every round, win the spar, not learn nothing. Like, they're sparring with their ego, turn it into a dick swinging contest.
Right.
You're sparring the likes of Josh Kelly, Josh Taylor, whoever. They know that they're there for learning, and most of the time they've got a fight lined up, and they're working on tactics that they want to take into that fight. So that's the difference. Could it be at 100%? No, because you're working on very specific things. You're not trying to win the spar. Like Bernard Hopkins said it. I can't remember which journalist it was, but they went to watch him spar. I think he'd done 12 rounds. And Bernard said to him afterwards, "How many rounds do you think I won?" And he felt a bit awkward, thinking, "Oh, I've just seen you almost get bashed up for like a good 10 of them." And Bernard turned around and said, "I'd give myself 2 rounds, but I was working on specific things to take into the fight." So that's what it is. It's a realistic pad session, almost, in a way, where you work on the things that you work on in the pads and then turn it into a real life situation. And then by the time the fight comes round, you're pulling them off naturally.
Yeah, I think that's where we wanted to try and get it, just so like our viewers sort of understand what sparring is, because like many times boxers come and say we're in a sparring session, but unless it's really explained how you've just explained it, some of us don't really get to know what that's all about. But
Yeah.
with yourself and everything, it seems like you're a 12-0. I think you've got 9 KOs at the minute. I watch a lot of your boxing off the reels on YouTube and everything, and you seem quite calculated. It's quite sort of like methodical. You know exactly what you're doing. It's quite nice to watch, to be honest. But I was thinking, all the things that you've been through so far, there's quite a few things you've been through at an early age. So, for instance, you was on the George Groves undercard as well, Wembley Arena.
Yeah, I've been on 2 of George's undercards. The first one was when he boxed Eddie Gutnick, who he unfortunately slipped into a coma after the fight. That was quite hard to see, because he was in the change room next door to me, and I see him walk back and he just looked battered, and then see the stretcher afterwards. It sort of like hit home. And then the second one was when he defended his world title in the Super Series against Jamie Cox.
Right. So, but what was that like for you? Obviously, going, because I think that was probably your 3rd fight or something. The first time at the arena, it was like your 3rd fight or something. So, what was the experience like?
Sorry, what was that?
What was the experience like?
Oh, it was great. The first fight, I was a floater, so I was meant to be on the fight before George. Right. So literally fight before the main event, like everyone there packed out, but literally just run behind, and I ended up fighting just after him. So I think I come on at about 11:30, and then the second time I was on really early, so I didn't quite get to experience the almost pressures of being in front of a really big crowd. But no, Wembley's just down the road to me. I'd love to fight there all the time, and I'm pretty sure I'll get fights there again. But no, it's a great experience to be part of like a big show, a big event. Yeah, looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, but in itself, it's got to set you up nicely for when you are going on to those big stages again, because you've been there and you've done it at an early stage. So it's got to be some sort of benefit to yourself. You obviously you spoke about Southern Area title. You went for that. You won that. Obviously, I think you got that when you was at about your 10th fight. Was that when you realistically thought you was ready for that, or did you think maybe you could have had that, could have come around a bit quicker?
I think it could have come a bit quicker, but I'm glad it didn't, because I changed trainers a couple fights beforehand, and we was just kind of like gelling the fight, like properly gelling, I'd say, the fight before, and we just rolled into back-to-back camps and really started working well together, bouncing off each other. And I definitely would have won the fight, I feel like, without Gary, but with Gary, I feel like I could go through the levels a lot better now. So I'm glad that fight come when it did.
And that was with Nathan Graham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So when you fought him, obviously, I think you done him the second round. I just watched it recently again, and it was a banging right hand. But again, was you? Obviously, you've got a build up. You've got a camp going into that fight. You're sort of like you're working, you're training to go to that fight. Was you expecting it to go the way it did so early, or?
Yeah, Yeah, it was. Not so early, but I was having this discussion earlier with someone. I've never stood behind a curtain waiting to come out before a fight. Like, just so confident that I was going to knock him out, and in the way that I did knock him out as well. And I don't mean sort of like in the fashion he did, but what led up to the knockout. I'd watched him fight, and I just saw something, and I just knew that was how I was going to knock him out. Worked on it in the gym, and then I thought it was going to come a little bit later. The first round was just a little bit tense, first title fight, relaxed into it, and then, yeah, second round, as soon as he done what I thought he was going to do, I caught him. I actually went to set him up with that right hook. I wanted to throw a right hook, slip, and then come back with like a big left hand. But as I've thrown that right hook to set him up, I've just thrown it. As I've dropped down, I've seen him full face first, and I thought, oh, touch.
All over. So, for instance, these fights, so really going to like the title fights or any fight that you're going into, is it a case that you do a bit of a research on the boxer? Do you watch a couple of their fights? Do you sort of study them, or do you worry more about what do you put it on them, your style of boxing, and not really particularly worried about them too much, or do you take a bit on board of what they do? So, like you said, with this Graham, you said he comes in and he ducks a bit. So you just plan for that?
Yeah, so I'll just watch for weaknesses, strengths, and habits, because then obviously you're gonna always work on yourself, and then if you watch a fighter and they're doing the same thing in fights over and over again, they're probably going to do it against you. You know what I mean? They might come in with different tactics, but if they've got habits, they're going to be there to be exploited. The same with weaknesses, take away their strengths. So you'd be stupid not to watch them.
Yeah.
And then that will help you improve as a boxer as yourself, because you go into a fight, you learn how to take away one boxer's jab. You learn how to do that in that fight, the next fight. You learn how to take away someone's foot movement. So you learn how to do that, you add that to your game. So if you don't watch fighters, you're not improving yourself.
It's about adding tools to your toolbox, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just working out ways how to work different fighters. And that's where experience comes in. The more experienced people can do more things. And that's why.
So then with that second fight, obviously it's a different, you are the title holder, you hold the title. Did that feel any different going into that second title fight, the Southern area, with who was in Kowalski, still Kowalski?
Yeah, Conrad, he's a wicked bloke. I really like him. It's just an awful fight on my part.
He was durable, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was just not taking anything away from Conrad whatsoever. Just had a really bad camp. Just nothing was clicking. You know, when you have days when you're on the pads and it's just you can't get going. I just seemed to have a whole camp like it. And then the week before the fight, I felt ill. I had my last spar. I was meant to do 6 rounds. Felt awful. And to be fair, I've done 5 rounds with the geezer, and he got out because I was hurting him to the body. And I thought, okay, at least I'm still firing well. But I just felt dead. And then the weight wasn't moving, so it was a push to get that off. And then when I was in there, I hurt him early on. And I thought, I just need to get him out of here now. And it's embarrassing now watching it back. There was just no thought behind my attack. I literally just thought I need to get him out of there, and done some stupid attacks. No thought behind it. He's ended up surviving it. I've ended up hurting him again, doing the same stupid attacks. Then the bell would sort of like save him. And it happened like 3 or 4 times. But at the end of the first round, I come back to the corner, and I thought, I'm fucked. It's going to be a long night. So, he was durable. We took a lot of shots. And, wicked guy, real gentleman as well.
Yeah, I think he caught him with a left in the end, and then I think the ref stopped that one. So, but that was like that's obviously the last fight that I can remember that you was involved in. So obviously it's been quite a layoff, isn't it, up until this point now.
Yeah, it's about 2 years in March.
Yeah. So what's caused it? Was it COVID? What's caused the sort of like the layoff?
Yeah, so that fight was obviously on the Saturday, and then the next Friday we went into lockdown. So I got quite lucky then because obviously people were scheduled to fight the next day, and so I got lucky there. COVID happened. Obviously I couldn't get any fights on the fight camps with Eddie Hearn. Tried to beginning of last year, tried to get a fight. So obviously had all my medicals done. Tried to get a fight in February, that fell through. And then I think again in April, that fell through. Then I was scheduled to fight in October. Got told I could have had a fight on a bigger show in November, so I pulled out of the October one. Was then told that the November one had been cancelled, and then I just had a load of stuff in my own life to sort out. And then I thought, right, let me get a date in September, and then I messed my knee up, so that put me out until New Year. But now, yeah, I was originally scheduled for a date in March, but it's looking like April now. So, yeah, I've just been training since the New Year, been training hard, and yeah, just really looking forward to getting back out there now. And we're going to look completely different when I'm in there.
Yeah, so I see that you've. I was going to say, I see that you signed up with MTK Global now. So that's a massive step. That's a good platform for you to be on now. And obviously, when you signed up for them, did they give you any indication as to what their plan is for you, how they see you going, what your journey is?
Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to get a 6-rounder, hopefully in April. Then build on that, try and get an 8-rounder, and then the plan is to try and get a shot at the English title. I want that by the end of the year.
Right, because I was looking at your division, the domestic fights. There's quite a few out there, aren't there? To be out. There's like Joe Pigford, CJ Challenger. Is it Michael McGurk? Is he in with your lot? He's with Global though, is he?
Who's that? Sorry.
Michael McGurk. Welterweight.
I don't recognise his name. Sorry.
That's right. So otherwise, you've got Troy Williamson, British title. Do you see any of those in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said the other day, like I'm looking at titles, and whoever I have to fight to get the title, I'll fight. Whether I think that they're a step ahead of me or what, like I'm gonna fight them. I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna try and go as far as I can. Like I said, I didn't have that much amateur experience. I'm not expected to do that much, even to win a British title. But I know full well that I can win a British title and more.
Yeah, I think what I was hearing before, like with your 9 knockouts, your knockout percentage, sometimes it's a bit difficult getting some of the fights that you wanted. Do you think that's still going to be the case now, or people just have to step up and just get in the ring?
Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm now at a level where they want fights, because every time I've had a fight before, the opponent's always changed 2, 3, 4 times. So hopefully now I'm at a stage where people want to fight, then like not scared of stepping up to a challenge. So yeah, now we've got some very exciting times ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all the best for what's coming ahead in your career and everything. But what we normally do with like all the boxers that we've had on before, when we've got any big fights come up, we always like to get your sort of like prediction on what you think is going to happen. So with the Eubanks fight, Williams, how do you think that one's going to pan out?
You know what? I haven't actually given it much thought, so you put me on the spot here. I'm just looking forward to watching it. But I think if they both fight with emotion, I think Chris comes out on top. Is Chris maybe slightly past it now? I don't know. What's the fight? Middleweight or super middleweight? Middleweight. I mean, there was a point where Chris was really struggling to make middleweight, went up to super middleweight, and now he's come back down again. So is he slightly outgrown the weight? I don't know. I don't think him and Roy Jones are a great matchup. I think their styles are completely different, and I feel like Roy would coach a fighter to fight the way that he fights, rather than him coaching someone that, like, bringing out the best in someone else's style. And if that is the case, I don't think Chris and him will gel well. So will that shine through in the fight? I don't know. Prediction?
Are you swerving it? Are you swerving the prediction?
If I say a draw, that's swerving it. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go Eubank points.
Yeah, I fancy Eubank. So I just fancy he's a little bit more spiteful in the punch, and I think after like Williams' last fight, I just wonder if he'll go the distance with him. I think Eubanks might just wear him down, to be honest, and be a bit more spiteful with him. Then that's prediction on that one. The Fury and Dylan White. What do we reckon on that one?
Oh, I'm not even that fussed about seeing it, if I'm honest. Everyone's sort of getting a bit hyped up about it, but I don't think White comes close to Fury, if I'm honest. The only heavyweight fights I'm interested in seeing is Fury AJ, Fury Usyk, and I don't know. I'd like to see Wilder and AJ fight, and Usyk as well. Them four, I'd like to see them lot mix it up. So, everyone else, maybe Hergovic.
Well, with the AJ and Usyk, then what we saying on that one for the rematch?
I'm just gonna. I think the same as everyone else. I think the only tactic that AJ shouldn't have done was try and outbox Usyk, and that's exactly what he tried to do. I don't know if he got in there and just felt a bit like bemused, but I don't know. I don't know. He just got to turn it into a dogfight, how he did against Klitschko. You know, Usyk isn't as big as Klitschko. I know Klitschko was past it, but you ain't outboxing him. You
think he's got to put it on him a bit more?
Sorry?
You think he's got to put it on him a bit more this time? Because he didn't really unload, did he?
Even if he does that, Usyk is like, he's seen it all before. He'll just wait for AJ to gas out, because he does have that. He does have that engine problem. We've seen it before. So I just think Usyk's got his number.
We're saying Usyk again then?
I'm going to say Usyk again. I weren't too sure, but I've convinced myself.
No worries. Well, I tell you what, Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here this evening. We're going to keep an eye on what you're doing, and we'll be following you, and hope you do well, mate.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Lovely. Cheers, mate. Bye.